Hello, hello. I'm just getting my little backdrop set up. Isn't this door so beautiful? I am in Bali. I've got my little giraffe friends here with me. And yeah, checking out this lighting situation while people get a chance to join. And if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for being here. I'm in Bali. I'll actually swoop this around just so that you can see this view, like rice fields out here, which is so lovely. I don't know if you can see that. But in this beautiful little guest house that I'm absolutely loving. Maybe we'll get a little bit of both. So today we are talking about hiring and delegating. And this is a topic that I love talking about with my clients. I love supporting my clients with this. Stay with me while I just play with some of my settings. It's one of the things that I have found to be most critical and paramount for you as you are growing your business, especially if you're wanting to dive into your genius. So I'm going to check one more thing while people are joining us. Bear with me. So really wanting to kind of like check in with everyone that's watching here. If you'll just, okay, we got off wireless. So now we're for sure set. So I want you just to tell me in the comments, raise your hand, put an emoji, put in a GIF, whatever you want, and let me know if you already have a team or some kind of an assistant, because this will really help me know like who I'm speaking to out there, you know, just if you are an entrepreneur and you already have some kind of an assistant. So I'll share with you first and foremost what my team looks like right now, which might be insightful for you depending on where you are in your business, and just helping you kind of see what I've got on board to help me run my team, so run my business. Mind you, I've been doing this for a long time, so I've been in business for a long time, and so if you are just starting out, don't think that you need to have a team like this. It's what I have found, though, to be most beneficial for me, and also what keeps things going. And so, and this also, as you listen to this and you hear this, the team that I have, I want you to really hear how I have created this so that I can create space for my genius, okay? Because I have realized kind of like one by one the things that take me away from me being able to fully show up and do the work that I am here to do, which is the more that I can speak to you, the more I can share insights with you, the more I can do my writing. I'm writing a book right now. The more that I can, you know, create space for coaching my clients and coaching my groups. All of that is what I need to clear space for. And so all the rest of the stuff that needs to run the business, that's what I have a team for. So I have an online business manager. I have a social media manager who's also a copywriter. And I just recently hired on a new woman who's helping me with like more like Facebook and advertising. And that'll get kicked off here pretty soon, which I'm very excited about. I actually just brought on another copywriter who is really helping me with more of like emails and more copywriting and stuff like that. And then I, of course, have a bookkeeper because I don't want to do my books. And then I've got, I had a WordPress guy who was also doing my video, and we recently completed our contract. And so I may be getting another WordPress person soon. My online business manager is amazing. She's also my assistant. So she handles a lot of my personal stuff as well. And I, of course, have a accountant, and I even consider my personal trainer to be part of my team of support. And then, of course, I even have a spiritual coach and you know, the mentors that I look up to and the teachers that I look up to. So you kind of gathering your team around you is so important. And I want you to look at who in your life right now you consider as this support, and know right off the bat when you're hearing me speak today that this doesn't mean that you have to pay them. You can have probably some amazing support in your life that you may not pay them, but they actually are this kind of like really powerful support for you. So to just keep in mind that if you're like, oh my God, I can't afford this, blah, blah, blah. I know people that put together small masterminds of support, and that in that mastermind, while you may be great, say at like organizing and spreadsheets, and this other person is like, you know, great at the more heart-centered stuff, whatever that is, right? Like you can connect with other people and intentionally create groups that are supportive for you. So back to hiring and delegating. We had this question actually last week on the live, and this is why it came up, because I was like, oh my gosh, I love talking about this. And one of the questions in particular that Kirthi had was about how can you hire somebody that has the know-how and yet you can't maybe pay at like a scale for somebody that's really, really professional. Like it's like I was just looking for a new place to stay in a couple weeks. I'm going to go down to Canggu. I'm in Bali right now. And I was sharing with people, it's like we always want the best thing for the best price, right? We always want like the most amazing person for the least amount of money, the most amazing place we can stay for the least amount of money. And so there's two pieces in here that are really, really important to clarify and call out, which is number one, I absolutely firmly believe you get what you pay for. And I pay my team really well because I have gone through many, many assistants that I got to pay a fraction of the price, probably a third of what I pay my team now. And that took me so much longer to have to like micromanage them or check all their work or go back to them and tell them to fix it because they just weren't up to the quality. So how much time, peace of mind it's saving me to know that I've got really, really quality people on my team, really phenomenally skilled, that is worth it for me, because all those hours, that's the whole jam of hiring and delegating. Your whole goal is to help be really watching your time and energy, your own energy management of how much time and energy are going into creating and running your business. Okay, so yes, you get what you pay for, but what if you're not at that place? What if you financially are just like, I cannot pay somebody a whole bunch of money right now, and you really, really want somebody? Here's the thing that I also know to be true. There are some really, really talented, if not talented yet, very eager to learn and become talented people out there, whether they're young students, whether they're professionals that are wanting to shift into other careers and get experience, maybe moms who have been working from home for a long time, or just stay-at-home moms for a long time, and they're ready to jump back into the workforce, but they don't want to be, with a full-time job, and they really just want something that's easy and they can work from home. There's actually even a whole website for this that I think is called like Flex Jobs or hiremymom.com or something like that. So just know that it's out there. And actually, even speaking directly, I read over Kirthi's question again this morning in preparation for this, and one of my biggest tips I can tell you when it comes to, so I want to make sure that I cover hiring and delegating, and then there's a third big tip actually, so stay tuned for that. I'll tell you the answer to this question that Kirthi had even more so. So first I want to cover hiring real quick, which is that if you are looking for somebody new on your team, if you're looking for, if you essentially even have an inkling that you could really use some help, the first step that I always have all my clients do is to start creating a wish list. I want you to write a wish list of what you're looking for. What is it that you're wanting in this person? What do you don't want to do? Start even tracking that. Track the stuff that you don't want to do, or that's taking you so long, or that's exhausting for you, or mentally draining, emotionally draining, like bookkeeping, right? If it takes you like all day, or I've had some clients tell me that it's taken them a week or 2 weeks, please get a bookkeeper, because your time and your energy is so valuable, and the gifts that you're bringing here in the world, it's not your job to learn how to do bookkeeping. There are bookkeepers that will do that. So please, please, please hire yourself somebody that does that. Same thing goes for like little updates on your website, or even like social media. If this is something that is not your jam, and you want somebody to help you with the marketing, this is where you have to think about all this ROI, not just ROI on like what money you're going to get by that actual task being done, which marketing is a huge and great example of that. If you've got somebody that's marketing you and that's increasing your visibility, then that's getting you more calls in. There's a whole thing about how to do that, but if it means the difference between you not being visible and not getting out there at all and actually doing it, hire somebody on, because that's going to be your bread and butter. It's going to be what helps you stay top of mind in people's minds and hearts online. So, and that there's ways to do it good, and obviously you want to find somebody who knows what they're doing, but I'm a really firm believer that something is better than nothing in that regard. And even if it's that you have somebody, this is often actually what I do, is that I'll hire somebody because I don't want to do it by myself. I want to be able to like collaborate. I love collaborating, creative collaborations. And so being able to hire someone else is almost like they can like come in and hold my hand through it a little bit, and we can creatively come up with solutions together. And so it might be that you bring them on for a little while and it turns out to be great, or it might be that you bring them on for a little while, they put a system in place, you create these beautiful things together, and then from there you might have a system that you can keep going with, and that is totally worth it, right? For hiring somebody on, because they've helped you create a system, they've helped you get in relationship with something that you've been putting off or that you've not wanted to look at, right? So you've kind of hired, there's no shame in this, to hire somebody to come in and like walk with you, hold your hand through it, right? So first things first, to write your wish list of what you're looking for. And what you can start doing, like I said, is start creating the list of the things that you don't want to do. And that will help point towards what you're wanting this person to be able to do. And so there's that piece. And you can also, on that wish list, I actually always recommend that you include things like that actually have personality, you know. So say you want to work with somebody that has a great sense of humor, you know, that is that loves to read, like whatever that is, you know, you can really add some, you know, if you're going to be working with this person and talking to this person, then you really might want to make sure that you guys have a personality connect. So I always put things in my ads like, you know, no drama, that you've got your business shit together, that, you know, you already know how to invoice people and that you already know how to do that stuff, because I don't want you not invoicing me because you haven't figured out that system for yourself yet. That I want them to be somebody that, you know, has healthy communication, and that when stuff comes up, we know we're going to be able to talk about it. So all those little things, make yourself a wish list, and then that's what can turn into a job post. And also don't be afraid of like including a lot of information. One of the other things that I put on all of my job ads is about me, and I let them know that this isn't my first rodeo, that I have managed people for a long time, because there's a lot of people out there that have had shitty managers, and they want to know, who are they working with? Are they just going to work with another like boss that's like hardcore and a jerk or whatever? Are they going to work with somebody who actually like really values their team and wants to create this like co-creative positive vibe, right? So I really invited in, I have like really long actually ads that I usually put out with a lot of details, and I'm not even afraid of that, because the thing is that I know the people who want my job are like so stoked that I gave them so much detail. So let it be fully you in these ads, so that they can get a taste of your personality, because you're going to be working together, and potentially a taste of your work, right? So the other piece about hiring, about in terms of like where to find people, there's of course like Upwork and all these, you know, Upwork is kind of a really main one that I used to go to for a long time. It's how I found my bookkeeper, even though I pay him off of Upwork now. And also, there are a lot of really great communities, so just depending on what you're looking for, I've found that I post with some really great communities of like digital nomad girls who are like amazing copywriters and social media, or, you know, all these different skills, but they've just chosen to, you know, kind of roam and work in these other places, and they're looking for gigs, and they're looking for things to sustain them, and they'd be willing probably to do, you know, many of them like 5 hours a week, if you just want to start small, 5 hours, 10 hours a week, things like that, so that you can get it on board. And that's how I started with my very first, I had interns way back, like in 2011, I had an amazing intern, and talk about giving you a vision for what's possible with interns. She worked for free. She was so excited to learn and get experience. She was in college or fresh out of college or between years of college, and she was so excited to get experience and learn with me. And she freaking whipped my business together. It was amazing. She was so excited for the experience, and she would literally like show up and be like, okay, here's 10 things that I think we can do to help your business today. And I was like, oh my God, you're amazing. So there's a huge part of hiring that is really like, they're not a coach. They don't have all of your wisdom and your experience and everything in your actual business to be able to give you like, solid business acumen. But what they can often do is help find opportunities or help get you kind of like on track, because anyone aside from you is going to help you see the forest from the trees in your business a lot better than you, right? We get really mired in like the perfection or what needs to be done, and they are actually possibly able to see like, okay, well, I'm seeing all these things that could get done. Or if you probably already know the holes that are happening in your business, the leaks in your bucket that are happening in your business. So if you can just have them on a project, and then what ends up happening is as you're delegating to them that project or training them on that project, it's helping you get like that whole forest from the trees. It's helping you get a really clear perspective on what is this project and how does it need to get done. Again, getting you in a relationship with it. If it's something that you've been procrastinating, if somebody's going to be in there working on it with you, it'll get you doing it. It's freaking awesome. This is why I hire so many people, because I don't like homework. I don't like doing stuff on my own all the time. I mean, I like my own space, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so helpful to have somebody in it with you. So when it comes to the delegating, this is the piece that so there's hiring, there's delegating. And if you have any questions about any of this, please ask, because I love knowing what you're wanting to know about, especially if it's about where to hire or any of that stuff that I haven't covered here. Please just ask questions and I can answer them. The delegation piece is a really tricky piece, and this kind of comes back to actually Kirti's question last week, which was all about how to hire someone that is like of the skill level that you're wanting. So this actually dovetails into hiring in the sense that you want to make sure that you are interviewing a whole bunch of people. So very similar to like say dating or a funnel, finding your ideal clients, you want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence in hiring. So this is the whole, like you've kind of heard this like hire slow, fire fast. The whole piece with hiring slow is you want to make sure it's the right person. So if that means, and here's the really, really great question for you in all of this, especially if you're like, I don't want to have to deal with hiring, like I have to go through all these interviews. Like if there's any part of you doing any of that, like not wanting to do this, I want you to stop right there and think about what is the outcome you desire. What is the outcome you desire? And so if I ever am in a place, especially if you're feeling spread thin and you're too busy and you don't have time for this, the biggest thing you can do for yourself is to realize that the outcome you desire. So if you put yourself in that situation, okay, outcome I desire is to have somebody on my team who is handling this. It's, and like really paint this picture for yourself. Like they're handling it so smooth. No potential clients are slipping through the cracks. No existing clients are slipping through the cracks. I'm actually even taking care of my existing clients even better because we're remembering little ways and like touches and ways to make it even better for them that I wouldn't have had time or space or energy for before. I've got my email managed. I have my flights booked, whatever that is that you're wanting for the outcome of this. And that's the goal you want to focus on, because all of the heavy lifting or the time and energy that's going to require for you to do that hiring and interviewing, you just want to have that goal clearly in mind, because that's what makes it all worth it. And then that's why also too, you have got that clear picture of what that's going to feel like and what that's going to look like is when you're interviewing people, you're going to know when that feels like a match. And so when I hired this recent online business manager, she's been with me for a year. She and I had interviewed all these people. I probably interviewed like 10 different people. And there's even like stages in that too. Like you can put kind of a trick question or a secret question in your application process to make sure that they're detail oriented and they're noticing. So little tricks like that, right? So that clears away a lot of the people right off the bat. And then I interviewed a bunch of people, and I actually had 2 really solid candidates, like her and this one other woman. And it just like, it was like everything in my heart and all of our connection and our rapport and like her energy and all of that was just like, that was it. I just knew it in my heart of hearts that that was it. And she's just turned out to be like a godsend, like amazing, amazing person on my team. So just to really keep that outcome in mind, that it's worth all of it. You have to. In fact, if you don't have time, you absolutely have to. And if you're also finding yourself not showing up to the creative projects that you want because you're distracted, also you need to hire somebody. Like, this is the whole piece of like, you know, time is money. And so this is like a huge thing that you hear me talk about all the time, which is how we derail ourselves. And we derail ourselves, the number one way we derail ourselves all the time, especially as creatives, is we get distracted. We distract ourselves. We work on shit we shouldn't be working on, right? So that leaky bucket, this is the whole piece that we're really trying to take care of, whether that leaky bucket is out of your own lack of productivity and clarity because you're spending time on tasks that you shouldn't be doing, or if it's out of actually literally being so busy that things are slipping through the cracks, right? So either way, you spending the time and the energy that it takes for you to hire somebody on your team, even if you feel like you're ready for it or not, is paramount. Because, and I've shared this on lives before, what happens, and so that was in 2011. I had another girl that I hired on. Actually, I'd had at this point, like fast forward to 2012 or 2013, I had an office in Potrero Hill in San Francisco, and I had hired on this woman that I was just like, I felt like at the time, in this one moment, I was like, I don't know if I can even pay maybe like $200 a month or $100 a month. I just was like, it felt like a stretch for me because I had already had an office outside of my home. And so I was investing in my business in all these ways. And so thankfully, she wanted to learn my business. She wanted to learn from me and work with me, and that was a big benefit for her. And so we struck a deal, and she was able to come on board, and we did a lot. We like learned a lot about each other and working together. And what was awesome, and this is a prime example of what's possible for you when you hire somebody on, is what was awesome is that because I had her on board, I had the space to then create more, talk to more clients, like do more of the things that I really needed to be doing, which meant more business came in, which meant I could hire her for more hours. And I had hired on this other team at that time as well. And again, like started with them super small. And it turned out with both of them that I was like, I couldn't throw money at them fast enough. And I was so happy I had a team on board. There's no way that I ever could have gone to that kind of growth. And it was kind of at the beginning of this huge sailing moment of my business that got me out of just the what I call the hamster wheel of not enough, of trying to do everything myself, and actually gave me what I call like kind of like more arms, right? So it's like that duplication machine for yourself where, yes, I can do this, but I need other people. I need more hands. I need more hours in the day, right? So super powerful for you to remember that that's what's possible, and it's exactly what's happening with my team now. It's really, really incredible. So there's a piece in here, especially when it comes to delegating, and this is, again, if Kirthi's watching, or if she watches later, this is, I've strung you along for this, but this is the key answer to your question, which is that I have had to realize over and over and over again, and there's a huge learning curve that happens when you are hiring, which is there's a lot of patience that goes into it, right? So there's a big learning curve in just terms of being a manager and that communication. And I hear this from my clients all the time, that they get really frustrated with the people that they're hiring, like, you know, because if somebody does something, and you might even know this if you have worked in a job or you've had a collaborator you've worked with where they do something in their way, or you have a miscommunication, and you're like, and it's so funny, right, how our reactionary brains want to be like, what were you thinking? Like, how could you have done it that way? Like, we can't understand why they would have done it that way, or why they would think that was a good idea, when in fact, you know, and you're so aware, right? So we have these like differences, or we get annoyed that they don't know, or they don't see it the way we do. And so there's a huge learning curve that comes back to, which, I mean, it even comes back to like speaking up for your needs and boundaries and being able to be honest and have tough conversations. Like this is all the, if any of you guys are in management or have managed people, you know that this is some of the challenging pieces of it, is like, how do you keep your team motivated and not be an asshole, continue to stay like learning and curious. And so one of the things that I've learned, especially recently, is how when you are finding that your team member isn't like up to snuff, right? Isn't doing something that you're wanting to have them do in the right way and in the best way that you know how, you have got to be willing to step in and train them. You have got to be willing to recognize there might be something that they don't know. And so taking that patience of training them, knowing that that is the investment that you're bringing on. So one of my team members right now, it's like literally been her job to kind of like study me and my work. And this is no small feat, right? Like to be able to really like know how somebody operates, how I think, is no small feat. So I have to be really patient. She hits the mark all the time. And number one, I need to remember all the time to praise and compliment her on what she is doing well, so that she is knowing that she is hitting the mark, and that I am so happy, because often we only give critical feedback and we forget to give the positive feedback when things are going smooth, right? And that the other piece is remembering if she doesn't hit the mark. So we recently had like a total, like I'll even share with you honestly, I had this, my first feeling was like, I don't think this is working. Like there was just things that weren't quite hitting and weren't quite feeling right. And I was just like, I don't even think this is working. I don't know, maybe I should just hire somebody else that really can do this, blah, blah, blah. And what I realized is that I have been investing in this, and she's amazing. I've been investing in her and her role. I've been investing in her time and energy. She's been investing in me, and she's been investing in this. And so all that time that I have had her on board and that she's been on board with me, I don't want to just throw that away. And so if there's something that's not hitting or there's something that's not going on, I need to actually like sit down and have a conversation with her. And instead of just rashly like firing her or letting her go or thinking I can hire somebody new, I can say, how can I build on this experience and this knowledge and this wisdom that this woman has been trained thus far with me? And so we had a talk, and actually this is, you hear me talk about, this is the title of my upcoming book, Double Down on Your Genius. I really took that same approach with my contractor and just said, how can we have you double down on your genius? Like maybe there's a part of this role that she's been trying to square peg like round hole, where she's literally been trying to do something that's really not in her wheelhouse. She may want to do it, she may be excited by the idea of learning how to do it, but it's just not totally a fit. And I think we all do that a lot, right? Like you might want to figure out how to create your WordPress site, but it's really not your strong suit. You should stick to doing coaching or working with people and not sitting behind a computer learning like HTML, right? So little things like that, recognizing that where is her genius. So what that helped me also do is pull out examples and places where she had totally blown me away and she had just rocked it, and help highlight where her genius is in this role for me. And if she is interested in this other piece, then we may need to implement some other structures so that maybe there's a better review process or something so that it doesn't feel so like, this isn't working. And I realized for myself, I also had to come into ownership with what wasn't working for me, is that, for example, and this was like a copywriting situation where I was like, I don't want to be an editor of my own stuff. Like I'm a good editor of other people's stuff, but when I'm kind of trying to like edit my own words, sometimes I just don't like that role. I'd much rather like first write it and have somebody else edit it. So it's just a really good me owning as well my genius and how I want to be in relationship with my own work. So I hope that makes sense. So really that's the biggest key, is being willing to train. And I think so often we hire people and just want them to be like amazing out of the gate, but you have to be willing to like stop and actually talk about the work itself and be willing to train and start small. And I think a lot of times, especially if you're really busy, and I do this all the time with my team, I throw them in the deep end, because by the time I need something, I'm like, oh my God, hurry, let's do this thing. And so you kind of throw them in the deep end, and you definitely, they have to get their sea legs fast with me, but I also have to be willing. And I always tell people right out of the gates that, and you can steal this and take this with your own team, which is that I get that there's going to be mistakes, and I want us to learn. I don't think that mistakes are a bad thing or failure is a bad thing. it's not ideal, but it happens, right? We're humans. And so if you're going to be hiring humans, you have to know that there's room for error, just as you mess up. In fact, I'm about to have a conversation with my online business manager where this has happened before too, where I got upset with her about something that I thought she had made a choice on. And it turned out I had requested that. So this is so freaking common of how often we're like, how could you possibly have done that? And she was really great she was like, I think we have a misunderstanding because you actually said this and this and this. And I was like, oh shit, I did. So really, there's some massive humility that happens when you are running a team. And one of the biggest things you can do is recognize that, these people are putting their all in for you. And the more you can have your team feeling positive and supported and safe to make mistakes, the more they're going to be willing to be creative and prolific and do work and be, thinking about your business even when they're not doing your business, and coming up with ideas and wanting to contribute all their creativity, right? So hopefully I have answered all of your questions. I'd love some likes and some hearts. I see some peeps here, and so I would love some likes and hearts on this, and please share it if you feel like it's going to be beneficial for any entrepreneurs in your life who are also hiring and delegating. And don't forget training and good solid communication. And this is a big part of what I help my clients with is even just the mindset around hiring. And again, that's where that great question comes in of what's the outcome that you desire, and really getting clear that it's so worth it. All of your time and energy of you bringing someone on board, and sooner than later, because you have got to be focused on doing the work that you're here to do in this world, especially because most likely you are closing your sales and you are the one who's meeting potential clients and getting potential clients on board, and that's your money. So if you are all of a sudden spent hours doing something else that's tucked away behind your laptop, and that's prohibiting you from going out and meeting some new potential client, or even following up with a potential client, or having a conversation with a potential client, then all of that can be done by someone else. So best wishes to you on your path, and there's tons of videos on here. I do these Facebook Lives pretty much every single Thursday night West Coast time and Friday over here in Asia, and I would love all of your questions. If you have any, you're welcome to reach out anytime to direct message to me. Leave me comments, leave me questions, happy to answer them. You can create a whole Facebook Live just to answer it, and I really hope that this finds you having a wonderful evening or day wherever you are. Lots of love.